Are you a mother-in-law? Do you have a daughter-in-law? As a woman growing up, particularly in my 20s, 30s, 40s, I have heard so many stories from actual friends of mine and also in Facebook groups for women physicians. I have heard so often about the challenges of having an unsupportive mother-in-law and the mother-in-law who favors the husband, who isn't respectful towards the daughter-in-law. Every now and then there's a mother-in-law who is extraordinary and the daughter-in-law feels closer to her than she does to her own mother or more supported by her. There are so many variations on this whole relationship dynamic. And I think for my part, up until now, I have always encountered it through the eyes of the daughter-in-law. Now, I'm lucky enough to have a very good relationship with my mother-in-law. We have had some sticky times, mostly when I felt like she wanted her son to align with her, and I wanted my husband to align with me. But that is all kind of ancient history, and I've been married now for 29 years. Those are things that probably came up the most in the first year of marriage and a little bit when we first had children and she had different ideas about how we parent. And my experience was that our parenting differently offended her. She took it as like a report card on how she had parented when we never meant anything as a judgment towards her. I am profoundly grateful that she parented my husband, and we wanted to parent differently in a few ways. But really, as I say, that's all ancient history. The relationships are warm and loving. So it has been incredibly confronting and fairly surprising for me as I anticipate my daughter's wedding soon to deal with becoming a mother-in-law myself. And in fact, it's less about becoming a mother-in-law and more about the change for me in my relationship with my daughter. In some ways, it might be simpler if I were not a relationship and intimacy coach and didn't know how important it truly is for my daughter to turn towards her husband, to have over time learn to have her primary alliance be with her future husband rather than with me. But how to have the relationship with her and how I don't just feel rejected by that or confused or betrayed. I really just want to talk about how hard it is to maintain what has been so wonderful in my relationship with my daughter and let it evolve because she's entering a new phase and my position in her life in some ways stays the same and in otherwise it is time to shift it, and I know that. So I do not come to you with all of the answers and lots of simple practical suggestions. In many ways, it's still a little bit raw. And also, my daughter is marrying a man, and he and his family is much more private than I am, given the work that I do and the way that I teach. So I don't want to get into too many specifics out of respect for that. But I do want to tell you what has inspired me and also let you know that I am, at the time of recording this, 56 years old, and I have done a tremendous amount of personal growth. And the inner work that I have needed to do over the last 18 months is some of the very most intense, confronting, challenging work that I have ever needed to do. One of the first things that has inspired me is that when I look at my life experiences and the life experiences of my clients, I notice something very clearly. When early on misunderstandings happen, disappointments, things don't go well, one person or all people's feelings are hurt. When that's how it is at the beginning, time does not heal all wounds. That does not just naturally evolve and change. It just doesn't. Those things linger unless there's a lot of experiences with very different flavors. And often when things are painful, complicated at the beginning, people are not actually inspired to put attention into working on that. I have an extremely challenging relationship with someone who married into my family. There were many circumstances that occurred, and the result was that I was not as kind as I could be. She was definitely not as kind as she could be, and we hurt one another's feelings. Well, I really would love to have harmony in that relationship and did a lot of work to make amends and take responsibility. And at one point, she just said to me, this is like 10 years after she joined my family, she said, look, we're never going to be close. And so what am I going to do but accept that? This is not a relationship that can be forced. And so if she wants to leave things as they are, it's my job to respect that. Things can improve over time, but you can't count on it. My point is that this inspired me to get my act together and really work through, journal, work with my own coach and therapist. I actually haven't worked with a therapist in years, but I started working with a therapist for this very issue so that when I head into my daughter's wedding, I can be full of love. She'll feel I have her back, and I won't feel like I'm sacrificing something. Instead, our relationship is certainly evolving and it is expanding rather than constricting. So that's one thing. Another thing that really inspired me that I did not catch on to right away is that my daughter was totally confused why I would feel any of the feelings I was feeling. Because from her perspective, she and I have a beautiful relationship. She's now in love and moving towards marriage with her beloved. And why would that be a problem for me? Like, we love one another. Her love for me is not diminished. For my daughter, I think her life just is more full. She has her relationship with me and she has her relationship with this beautiful man that she's going to marry. How wonderful. So why would me, her mother, be weird and feel disconnected and rejected and so many other things that I felt? Because actually she was ripe and ready for this transition. That's why she was making it. But I was not ripening and ready. I'm very happy for her. I was always very happy for her, but it was confronting and complicated for me. And as soon as I really was clear that she just found my response confusing, I actually found it very helpful to realize, oh, all this weird stuff that I'm feeling is not actually about her. It's about my relationship with her, but I really need to look in the mirror rather than wanting her to change or speak to me differently or speak to me about different things or whatever it is. No, I needed to really look in the mirror. One of the things that I discovered is that I just miss my mother so much. She died in 2002 when I was in my early 30s. And one of the things that came up for me with my daughter getting married is that it felt like I'd be losing the other woman in my life who's so important. But the thing is, my daughter getting married bears zero resemblance to my mother dying other than in my wounded soul. So that was my work to shift. There are so many other steps that I've had in this journey. And I think the way that I would summarize them is my daughter getting married has served as a catalyst for me to really connect with my own value for my own sake. So this video is not especially linear. My goal has been to kind of share some of the terrain that I inhabit and have inhabited while anticipating becoming a mother-in-law, because we don't talk about this enough. We talk so much about what it means for a bride to become married and plan a wedding, but mature woman to mature woman or person who wants to learn from a mature woman, this is an ongoing journey for those of us becoming mother-in-laws as well.